Good evening. My name is Sandhyaashree. Welcome to Mental Health Talk, Part 4. There is always a way out. Tonight, I'm introduced to all of you a personality who needs no introduction. Yes, I'm talking about Dr. Nandita Shah, the founder of SHARAN, the proud recipient of the Nari Shakti Award, and the author of Reversing Diabetes in 21 Days. I'm so happy to be introducing her tonight. She's one of my favorite people in the world. Welcome, Dr. Nandita.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for such a lovely introduction and grateful to you for all you've done so far with this program. I know that a lot of people have enjoyed it and a lot of people have benefited.
Yes.
Today, I want to introduce everyone to a very dear friend of mine, and that's Nithya Shanti. Is Nitya Shanti there? Oh, that's wonderful. And so I've known Nitya Shanti for years, and he's been one of our facilitators in our 21-day health retreat. And also we had a shorter retreat in Oroville where he was there. And he's one of the trainers in our 21-day online diabetes reversal program. And Nitya does all kinds of wonderful work. The very best part about him is that he's vegan and he is totally compassionate. And when I was speaking to him, he said that there's no spirituality without veganism, right? And that I truly believe, because like if we don't see ourselves in every living creature, then where's the spirituality? So I'm really grateful to have Nitya here. And Nitya's work is about bringing joy or happiness to the world. And really, he's always smiling and singing and dancing. And so without any more ado, here's Nitya.
Thank you, Nandita. And very loving, even though slightly exaggerated introduction. Lovely to be here. And I've learned so much from you, actually. We really enjoyed the retreats we've done together. And the beauty is that we realize how health is natural if you just align with certain principles. And it doesn't take so many medicines. It's not so complicated. If you just, and what I've learned from you is you spent your whole life studying this. And you found without too many medicines or too much complex technology, just coming and relying on our own natural body wisdom and coming back to the basics. And so I've benefited from that. So I'm really grateful to you as well.
Thank you, Nitya. And today's topic is there's always a way out. And so our viewers, we want to share with our viewers, because there's so many issues right now during the pandemic. People are depressed, they don't know what the future is. Sometimes they can't sleep, anxiety. And also some people are suffering from issues at home because maybe there's, family disharmonies and so on and so forth. And so, I want you to help them by sharing your experiences. Like if you are in this situation right now, how do we bring joy to them? And before we go there, I do want to mention that the very fact, like all of us teach what we most need to learn, usually, and of course now you're a pro at it and probably you don't need to learn anymore, but there must have been a time when you were wanting joy. So maybe you could start with your own story, which this part I've never heard. I've heard so many stories from you. Nitya is a storyteller. I've heard so many stories from you, but I've never heard about how you came into this line of work.
Yeah, I think it's very well said that we teach others what we most need to learn. And sometimes that happens unconsciously. In my case, it's really conscious. I'm really very clear that I'm only sharing with others what I'm excited to learn myself. My teacher actually told me, teach others what you want to learn. And so, first of all, I'm grateful that we've taken up a topic like this. And it's not that I have all the answers or you have all the answers. It's creating a space where we can inquire. Each one of you who's watching us live and who will even watch the recording. The more important than answers, is letting the questions breathe. Just giving a space for us to inquire into this angst that we have faced in our own life, we continue to face, society is facing. And to tune into that without being in a rush to get an answer, without being in a rush to get a solution. This can create certain clarity in certain context. So in my own journey, like you were asking, it was plenty of confusion, plenty of comparison. I kept comparing myself to others. I found other kids are stronger than me, taller than me, faster than me, better looking than me, everything better than me. And basically the sense of always not being good enough. Years ago, I read a book which made a lot of sense. It talked about the 3 viruses that humanity has. Humanity has 3 virus thoughts, and it's pretty much present in every country, every culture. The 3 virus thoughts are, number 1, there's not enough for everyone. There's not enough for everyone, right? So this makes us hoard and makes us feel, greedy. There's not enough to go around. Second virus thought is, we are all separate. We are all disconnected. So I'm separate from you. I'm separate. Even within myself, there is all these separation. The parts of myself I like and don't like. And of course, as you know, with animals, and the other nice, you must have seen that picture where you have humans and all the other animals, and that's called the ecosystem. And then the artificial pyramid where the humans put themselves on top, and it's called the ego system. So the second virus thought is that we're all separate. And the third virus thought, which is what was very strong in me at the time, was I'm not good enough. I'm never good enough. No matter what I do, no matter how much I do, it's not good enough. So
and
my own journey.
I'm sure that there's nobody who hasn't felt this way.
Yes.
This is something that we can all resonate with.
Yeah, it's true. The sense of not being good enough and always comparing, and now it's become a culture of comparison. So now we've gone pro with this, with our Instagram and our Facebook, and we're wearing such a mask, and we know we're wearing a mask. We know that you can only post our best pictures. After taking 25 pictures, I'll only post my best picture, nothing less than the best, right? So this is an artificial world, and we are aware that beauty magazines, for example, those are not real photographs, those are touched up photographs. And still then the comparison comes in. So in my case, it was really strong. And it was a very big healing for me when at the age of 16, my mother took me for a meditation course. I didn't even know what I'm getting into. I just went for it. But for the first time, I was taught a very practical way of being more present. You see, we've all heard about live in the present, live in the present. It's one of those bumper stickers which is everywhere. But how do you do it? So for 3 days, they taught us to be aware of our breath. Now, the breath, they said, is always in the present. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. You're either aware of your breath in the present or you're lost in some thought. You can't do both simultaneously. Even right now, as you're listening, you're either listening to me or you're aware of your in-breath or out-breath. And in that micro moment, you're either aware of me, what I'm saying, or you're aware of the breath. So practicing like this for 3 days, I got a glimpse of something which I'd never seen so clearly before. The glimpse of the pristine present. And I began to get a sense, wow, this is the way out. I have been lost in these thoughts. I've been lost in these ideas, these comparisons, these theories. And for the first time, a very practical way out was shown to me. And when someone is drowning, they'll just grasp at everything. So I was really drowning, being a teenager and having so many challenges. And I just grabbed onto it. And I said, I'm not going to leave this. And until then, to be very honest with you, I had tried painting, given it up. I had tried karate, given it up. I tried horse riding, given it up. I tried tabla, given it up. I tried pretty much everything and given it up. Like I used to call myself jack of all, master of none. But something in me said, don't give this up. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how long it takes, just stick with it. And I kept that promise to myself. I stuck with it. Some years back, I was in Holland, in Netherlands, and we'd gone to the mall. And in the mall, they had a contraption where you could put on these virtual reality glasses. In fact, it's available in India also now. You put on the virtual reality glasses, and not only are you visually transported, you're physically, the entire machine moves. And you're physically transported into that realm, right? So it may be that you are going on a roller coaster. Actually, you're just there at the mall, and you intellectually know nothing's going to happen to you. But the body emotions that come up, oh my goodness, you have a sense of you're falling really fast, or you're going into a roller coaster, or some other thrill-seeking thing like a dinosaur is coming to bite you. And you have all the visceral reaction that was something really coming to bite you. And there was a saving grace that in that headset, there was a tiny little patch, just a little bit, just like maybe half a centimeter. and you could see the ground. So the saving grace in that intense program for me was looking through that. Whenever it got too intense, I just look at my nose and say, I'm in a mall. I'm not in a dinosaur land. I'm not in a roller coaster. And that tiny little half centimeter is what allowed me to go through that experience without going crazy. And that's another example of how in the present moment, like right now, no matter what's going on, lockdown or no, family situation or not, people have got COVID or not, but in this precise moment, really, what is wrong? And apart from our imagination, nothing's wrong. Nothing can trouble us but our own imagination. So this was a very powerful teaching for me. And I began a daily practice of meditation. And little by little, I began to see that the fog, little by little, began to get thinner. I wouldn't say completely cleared, but the fog got thinner. And I got some kind of perspective on how to move forward in this life in a more meaningful way. Yeah, so just very briefly, so the journey continued, and I did an MBA, and I worked in the corporate world, and I became a monk. I lived as a monk for about 6 years. And again, the most people ask me, what's your biggest lesson as a monk? My biggest lesson is exactly this, that in the present, there's never any problem. No matter what's going on in your life, in the present, life just is. And if you can just connect with that stream, if you think of the present as something really tiny, there's past, which is endless, there's future, which is endless, and present is so tiny. But this itself is the wrong way of thinking. The present is so big, the entire universe fits in it. In fact, it would be good to call not even present with a T, we'd call it presence with a CE. It's like a different dimension. We are only used to normally living in the dimension of space and time. But there's a whole other dimension which very few of us have even explored. There's a whole other language. When the Native Americans would go to hunt, or they would go to gather berries or whatever, they would pray to the Great Spirit, guide us, Great Spirit, guide us. And the cloud would take a shape of a finger and say, go here. And that's where you'll find what you need, right? So it was fascinating that they would listen to nature. The Polynesians would navigate from massive ocean distances by reading the clouds, reading the stars, reading the wave patterns. And that's a dimension of presence. It's not a dimension of linear knowledge. It's a dimension of wisdom, which we can all access. So I was fortunate that I had gotten to quite early in life. I got access to this. And our teachers said things like, let me teach you how to walk. Let me teach you how to eat. Let me teach you how to sleep. You're like, what are you talking about? You want to teach us how to walk, how to eat, how to sleep? You'll say yes. To walk with presence, to eat with presence, to sleep with presence. It's a whole other language, which many of us have not learned. So if you only learn the language of past and future and worry and this and that, then truly it's going to be bewildering. But as you start learning this new language, the language of presence, and intuitive knowing arises that all is well. And one last thing I'll say, and I'd love to get another question from you, is our body, I'd like you to think of your body as not 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years old. Your body is billions of years old. Because in this body is ancestral wisdom packed. Every square centimeter is packed with ancestral wisdom. This body knows what to do in starvation situations. This body knows, it'll switch gears. When you don't get water, it'll switch gears by itself. Right? When you're in a dangerous situation, even though you've replaced your knee replacement, hip replacement. If a tiger is coming, you will run like nobody's ever run. You'll run faster than that Olympic athlete in that moment. Because this body knows what to do. This body is tremendously resilient. Right? And somebody called me the other day, they got COVID. And I said, yeah, it's a novel virus, but your body is billions of years old. So can you trust the wisdom of your body as well? Your body is dealt with many, many such novel viruses. And listen, when it's your time anyway. When we have to go, we have to go. So getting worried about it is not going to help anything. Yeah.
So Nithya, I really appreciate all that you said, because it's true. It's so simple and it's true. But now all these people who are worrying, how do we bring them to the present moment?
They're already in the present moment. You're already in the present. In fact, when have you not been in the present moment? Your whole life you've been in the present moment. And let's understand the language of emotions. Emotions are guiding us. Just like when you drive on the highway, you might have noticed, when you go too much to the right or the left, there's something called the rumble strip. It starts making a sound. And the rumble strip are these slits made in the road, which when your tire goes and it starts making a loud noise. And the reason for it is to wake you up if you're getting asleep, or to make you mindful that, listen, you're getting off the road. So the rumble strip is there for a reason. In the same way, our life also, our body and mind comes equipped with all of this. There are 3 levels at which the intelligence of life guides us. The first level is a whisper. And whisper is not just words, it's like an inner knowing. Like, for example, you're eating food and a part of you said, okay, I think I'm done. And you don't know, how can we be done? There's so much more, and the dessert is still left, and this and that. And so you ignore that whisper. Then if you ignore the whisper, then you get a bit of a nudge, and a sense of guilt starts coming. Maybe I'm overdoing it, and you ignore that as well, and now you have a really bad stomach ache. So life will first give you a whisper, then it'll give you a nudge, and then it'll give you a slap. So if you want to have a nice quality of life, you start listening for the whispers. You don't wait for the nudges. You don't wait for the slaps. Of course, once in a while, we will all be foolhardy, and we will get the nudges and we will get the slaps. But as much as possible, if we can tune in at the level of relationships, at the level of our diet, at the level of our exercise, at the level of the work we do, if we listen to the whispers that keep coming. Steve Jobs had a method. He would look in the mirror and ask himself, what if today was the last day of my life? What if I'm going to die today? Would I still do what I'm going to do? He asked this question to himself every single day in the mirror. And he said, when too many days in a row I got the answer, no way, I wouldn't do this. Then he knew it was time to make a change. And he said that this is one thing we all have in common, that we're all going to die. This is the greatest wisdom of all. So when you know you're going to die, then this whole thing of, much of the problem is we're trying to please other people. And people pleasers are really going to be so disappointed because, at the end of all the pleasing, you're surprised to find no one's pleased.
Anyway, you cannot please everyone. The only person you can please is yourself.
And the expectations keep going higher and higher and higher. So what I've learned is I'm not here to please others. I'm here to be true to myself. I'm here to be true. And that's going to inspire some people. That's going to really rub some people the wrong way. And that's on them, right? And for me, it's going to be as true to myself as I can be. So I believe that every single person watching this show, it's not that you've been waiting your whole life to listen to Nitya Shanti talk. It's not like you don't have wisdom. You have tremendous wisdom. Have you not answered your friends? When your friends come to you with a problem, don't you tell them amazing solutions? And a part of you is like, wow, that was a really amazing solution. Where did that come from? Because you have it. We all have tremendous wisdom in us. But it's so cloudy. So we have to create gaps. We have to create space. Between stimulus and response is a gap. That's where wisdom lives. Now, any practice that helps you, maybe meditation helps you, maybe walking helps you, maybe morning exercise helps you, maybe pranayama helps you, eating a lighter diet might help you. All of these things, you have to ask yourself, where in my life have I felt clear-minded, open-hearted, and more willing to take risks and do what my heart guided me to do? And then you go and say, what was happening at that time in my life? And there are clues over there. You already have those clues. So self-reflection, if I had to teach one thing to people, I say, don't read my books or anybody else's books. I haven't even written a book, by the way. But you read the book of your own life. You read the book of your own life. Your life has all the information. If you pay attention, it's all there.
And sometimes when we get the slap, this is the biggest lesson. Like for example, when I got a serious illness, I learned so much from that, I believe that disease is a path to personal growth. Similarly, we can't get through our life without having all those problems that we had as teenagers, because that pushes us to find the solutions,
Exactly.
That's so important.
That's fantastic. When you see it like that, now suddenly there's that nice quote that I read some years back, which said that we pray to God to change our situation. Please change the situation. Not knowing the situation was created to change us.
Yeah.
And even now, when we are against the wall, and now there's no way out, you have to change, you still don't want to change. And so this is our own stubbornness. So if we ask ourselves, what is there in this lockdown period? Like, I have a friend who's a psychologist, and she's meeting many people. And she said something to me, Nithya, they keep talking, the media keeps talking about mental health. But I have seen people have the biggest breakthroughs of their life in the last 3 months. So many people, how come no one's talking about that? Yes, there are people who are depressed. Yes, there are people who are lonely. We're not discounting that. Yes, people are committing suicide. But there are so many people who are having absolute breakthroughs, who are re-looking at their life in a way they've never looked at before. How come we aren't talking about that? That's also happening, right? So this is as much of an opportunity. In India, Lord Shiva, it's a misunderstanding that he's the Lord of destruction. He's not a Lord of destruction. He's the Lord of transformation. So he comes to break things down so that a new thing can be born. Sometimes everything has to be reshuffled so that the newness can come out of it. So this is like Shiva. Yeah, go ahead.
You reminded me of a story I mean, a true story. One of my patients said that, you know, just before the pandemic, we went to our a forest home in Alibag. Like it's a forest home that we had, but then we came to the city to earn money and all that, and we went back. We hadn't been there for many years. We got stuck there because, you know, the lockdown came, and it transformed our whole life. And now we're not coming back to the city.
See, that's the thing. So if you say, so this is the shamans call it good medicine. There is nothing. See, if you stop looking at life as a random happening, this is one thing we've been miseducated a lot in our life, and one thing we've been miseducated about is that, like I said, we're all separate. There's not enough. All of these kind of miseducation happens. Now, one of the things is that we think life is very random. People are doing random things. Government is doing random things. But if you look a little bit deeper, you realize there's nothing random over here. It's a highly intelligent system. Everything is highly, highly intelligent, far more intelligent than you can ever even imagine. That is how intelligent it is. Our body, there are trillions of cells in this body. Are you taking care of even one of them? Some intelligence is taking care of it. And all the galaxies and all the organisms and all the birds that fly. And how do the cells know when to mutate and when not? And how does the immune system respond? I mean, this is an absolutely magical realm. So I would like to propose that nothing is out of place, even though the mind tells us. But we know, listening to the mind, how much luck have you had in life listening to your mind, following your mind all the time? Have you really had an extraordinary life? Have you really had extraordinary relationships? Listening to your mind, have you not got in trouble again and again and again? There's a saint, Christian saint, who says, more tears have been shed for answered prayers than for unanswered prayers. So the mind says, if only I get that, I'll be happy. You get it, and you realize you're more unhappy than ever. So you realize, so this is the thing. So the main thing is MIND, mostly inaccurate neurodrama. The whole point of these kind of crises is actually to create a shift in our consciousness. And if you can willingly go through that shift in consciousness, it's not a problem. You will go through this whole experience without a problem. But if you resist it, oh my goodness, it's going to be the most painful thing ever. So if you submit to it,
the same story will repeat itself. If you miss it, the same story will repeat itself.
Exactly.
One day you have to get it.
We have to get it. So why not now? And so we call it good medicine. The shamans call it good medicine. This is good medicine. And the nice mantra for all of us is bring it on. Bring it on. But what you resist will persist. But what you welcome is not a problem. Swami Vivekananda was walking in a forest as a boy. He was walking in a forest. He had some food in his little bag. And the monkeys could figure out this little boy's got something to eat. So little by little, they began climbing down the trees. And he got nervous. He began walking faster. Then they got down the trees. They began following him. Now he got really nervous. He began running. And when he's running, the monkeys are also running. And he's really petrified. These monkeys are running after me. And then there's an old man there. He said, boy, stop. He said, no, I can't stop monkeys. He said, stop. So he stops. When he stops, the monkeys also stop. Then the old man says, turn around. No, I can't turn around. They're monkeys. Turn around. So he turns around. The monkeys take one step back. And now the old man says, you chase them. And as the boy chases, all the monkeys run on the trees. And that's the way it is. The more you run, the more they chase you, they hassle you. It's a panic attack. And the more you turn around and say, bring it on. What's going to happen? You want to eat me? Come eat me. You want to have me? In the Tibetan tradition, there's a practice, which is a very intense practice, which either you go crazy with or you get enlightened with. You go to a graveyard and you sit with a human skull and a human thigh bone, and you tap the skull, tap, 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 and you say, all the ghosts come and eat me. All the ghosts come and eat me. Tap, tap. Now this practice will either drive you insane or it'll get you liberated. Why? Because that's the most scary thing for the ego. Sitting alone in a place where you imagine all kinds of ghosts and spirits are there. You're saying, come and eat me, come and possess me. This is one of the most scary things ever. So in the Tibetan tradition, you say, bring it on. The thing you're most afraid of, Carl Jung says, the cave you're afraid to enter has the treasure that you seek. So sooner or later, we will have to awaken our inner spiritual warrior, and we will have to go and face our deepest fears. So why not today? Why not now? You say, bring it on. What's going to happen?
Do you think
you want to share your example? You want to share your story of going to prison? That's a bring it on moment.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, when I went, so let me tell them how I went to prison, right? I don't know if there's such a good thing to say on the wide open public, but why not, huh?
Tax evasion.
So actually, it was something like that. Like I was getting out of Russia, and they asked me if I had any foreign exchange, and I said yes, I did. And they asked me if I had declared it when I went in, and I said no, I never knew about that. And so they said, contraband, contraband, you're going to prison. I didn't even believe it. I mean, the next thing I knew, I was actually going to prison, you know. And I was so lucky that I was there because I had gone for a seminar, and so they allowed me only one phone call. And of course, I did it to my seminar, you know, the person who had organized the seminar. And he was an influential person, and he got in touch with a lawyer and so on and so forth. And within 3 days, I was out of the prison. But 3 days in the prison, I mean, I wasn't in the state of the present moment. I was thinking all kinds of things. And not only that, they were telling me all kinds of things. I mean, this was a time before mobile phones, you know. I didn't even have a mobile phone. So they were telling me all kinds of things like, in 3 days, if you don't go out, you don't get out for 3 months. You know, and I was already vegan, and of course, the food they were offering was not. So I decided also not to eat, you know. So various things were happening. But I tell you, this was a chance for personal growth. And not only did I realize, it made me realize what does an animal go through when it's suddenly taken out of its environment and goes into prison. It also makes me think about, like, even pets. You know, we think that it's nice to have pets and it's good to adopt a baby from its mother, but actually the mother and the baby want to be together. So we are using animals in different ways. One of them is, you know, of course, eating them. That's just one part of it. But as entertainment in circuses and in zoos, like how we, you know, and when we shift, we recognize that all these creatures have the same consciousness that we do. And so, how can we do what we're doing to them and be happy? Like, for example, what I realized, you know, when I shifted to a vegan diet, the biggest change was in my state of mind. I didn't realize it, but I was surprised. For example, I used to wake up every morning with a fear, a sense of fear or anxiety. And it stopped, but I wasn't aware of it. It stopped when I became vegan. I became aware of it when one day I ate something non-vegan, and the next morning I woke up with the same fear. I was surprised. So it took 10 days, by the way, for that fear to go. I was really surprised, but I learned something, that if I eat something non-vegan, that energy of that being has come into my body, and no matter which being we are eating or consuming, they are in a state of fear, anxiety, stress, and we are absorbing their energy. Nitya Shanti, right now, is the most peaceful time of my life. And it only gets better year after year, you know, because I realized that, like you, maybe, but perhaps, you know, our journey is different, that I don't have fear, I don't have anxiety, I don't get angry, or even if I get angry, I'm not angry inside. I'm just like telling someone that this shouldn't be done this way, but there's no energy of anger in me, you know, because, and I realize that if I just consume a plant-based curd, which has been set with animal-based curd, I can tell, I get the energy. So that whole sensitivity has increased, but also the awareness has increased. So that, you know, I can almost say that I'm being led. I don't have to think. It's happening already. You know what I mean? Things are happening just by a kind of divine grace, like what you said, that there's such a intelligence. Everything that's happening is for a reason, and so you don't feel upset or anxious about it. And so, there are two ways to reaching this. One is by shifting your mind, then your body shifts. I mean, like, it hardly took, I remember we met once and we talked about this veganism, but it hardly took much to make you totally vegan, right? Because you already knew it. Maybe it was not fully accessed, but you knew it, right? So that's the thing I'm saying, that like exactly what you already said, that we all know. In fact, I work with healing, and we also talk about how everyone's body knows how to heal, and doctors don't. And still, we are anxious to go after doctors. So, physical and mind is similar in different ways. We are anxious about our health in the same way as anxiety about so many other things, but body knows how to heal.
I had an experience. I lived with a monk for a while, and it was a very big monastery, about 5,000 acres, and there was a hill, and my hut was on top of the hill, and I would have to walk up after lunch. Our lunch would be finished before 12. And I'd walk up. It would be the hottest time of the day, and walking up like this every day took about 20 minutes, and the sun was beating down on my shoulder. And monks in the monastery, we keep our right shoulder bare. It's one of the protocols. You keep your right shoulder bare. So I began getting sunburned on my shoulder. And I decided that really is my body that fragile? And I began just talking to my body. I said, dear body, you know you have to walk in the sun. You know it's coming up. So why are you getting sunburned? I mean, you can handle this. And I found that simply talking to my body, I stopped getting sunburned. And similarly, when I knew that I had to lift some very heavy thing up, I just talked to my body, something really heavy has to be lifted, just be all right. And next day, sometime we had a work project. So like 2-3 days in a row, we're doing a lot of intense work, carrying stuff, putting stuff down, shifting stuff. All right, some few intense days of work are coming up, get ready for it. And I found that just talking to the body is so incredibly powerful. And we don't realize because talking to the body basically means you're trusting the intelligence of the body. And you're tuning in. Talking also means listening. You're tuning in, you're opening a channel of communication. And basically you're trusting. You say, I trust you. I know you need to do what you need to do. And I trust you'll figure this out. And the body does. It's fascinating. This whole path, actually, while we can give words and concepts, it's wonderful when we have tasted enough of presence that inner guidance gets ignited. It's already there. We just don't know how to tune into it. So for me, the biggest gift that's come from any of these teachings, my teacher used to say this actually. He said that the heart tells itself what to do. There comes a point in your practice where the heart tells itself what to do. And you can trust that guidance. There's another teacher who says, when the voice and the vision on the inside gets louder than the voices and opinions on the outside, you've mastered your life. So we all have to get to that point where it doesn't matter, like the whole world can stand against you and say you're wrong. But something deep inside of you says, that's your opinion. And you can really trust that inner guidance.
And you know what, Nithya, I want to tell the audience, because, we got together 2 days ago just to prepare for this event. And Nithya is so much in the present that he said, I don't want to plan anything. Whatever comes is going to be the right thing in that moment, right? And it's true.
It's true. In fact, I make it a point to be unprepared. Some people make it a point to be prepared. I make it a point to be unprepared, because that's where, if I'm prepared, I'm speaking from knowledge. That's the expert's mind. But when I'm unprepared, actually the moment is speaking. It's not even Nitya Shanti is speaking. The moment is speaking. And so there's a lovely quote that the beginner wants to be an expert. The expert wants to be a master. And the master just wants to be a beginner again. So the willingness to let go of all your concepts, to hold them lightly.
So Nithya, we have about 10 minutes left, actually 9, before we are going to open to questions. So would you like to tell them just 5 tips from you on how they can make this shift in their lives.
All right, let's see what's coming. The first one would be gratitude. Gratitude is a really, really fantastic, most powerful thing in the world. My intention for each one of you on this call, either live or in the recording, is can you just decide to be among the top 5% most grateful people in the world? Just decide. From this moment, just this moment onwards, you make a decision. I'm going to be among the top 5% most grateful people in the world. In other words, I will be among the top 5% least complaining people in the world. Right? When every 95% of people are complaining, I'm actually not going to complain. I'm going to accept the situation. I'm going to say, what can we learn from this? How can we grow from this? What to laugh about in this? What's there to love in this? And I'm going to change my perception. I'm going to say, this is good medicine, bring it on. And 5% is just for the slow ones. I would actually like you to be among the top 0.1%. And how do you do that? You start your day with gratitude. So learn a practice with me. Put your 10 fingertips together. You can also do another. And you're going to think of 10 things you're grateful for. Each time you'll open one lotus petal. These are 2 lotus buds. And little by little, you'll open both the lotus petals. So let's take a minute. Close your eyes. And we'll think of 10 things you're thankful for. Whenever you're done, bring your lotuses to your heart and just feel grateful. And release your hands. Beautiful. So I would say start your day with gratitude, fill your day with gratitude, and end your day with gratitude. How do you fill your day with gratitude? No matter what happens, you smile and say, how wonderful. But there's nothing wonderful here. You say it anyway. Because what the thinker thinks, the prover proves. If you can say how terrible, how terrible, how terrible, when, like, for example, you go to the airport, you miss your flight. Oh, how terrible. But is it really terrible? There is someone there who's come to the airport for the first time in their life. They didn't even notice they missed the flight. They're like, all right, 1 more hour, but we love the airport. For them, it's not terrible, but for you, it's terrible. You see, so by itself, nothing is terrible in this world. What you're calling so terrible is your first world problem. What we, in the US, I sometimes go to these big cities and the person says, oh no, traffic jam. I said, traffic jam, their car is still moving. They're calling it a traffic jam. They said, this is top speed in India in some cities. What you're calling a traffic jam, your 40, 50 miles an hour is the top speed we can do in many cities, right? So it's all comparative. Everything is relative. So gratitude, start your day with gratitude, fill your day with gratitude, and end your day with gratitude. How about once in a while with your family, telling each other what you love and appreciate about each other? Play the little gratitude game. Everyone gets told 3 things that other people like about them from each person. So that's more than 3. So everyone says 3 things they like about me, 3 things. Then I go and tell each one. And like this, the whole family. And in half an hour, such a lot of baggage is shed. Because we always talk about things we don't like and the things we're not liking and the irritation. But we don't talk about the things that we do like and appreciate. So gratitude would be the number 1 top tool I'll give everybody.
And I do want to say that I have worked with Nitya Shanti and I know that he actually practices this. And so I really appreciate this number 1 tip.
It really makes a big difference. For me, it was a big game changer. Because I was even making spirituality really serious. Everything can be made serious. And we remember the master key is gratitude. If you remember just one thing, just keep saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. No matter how difficult it gets. You're going for a surgery, keep saying thank you. You're on your deathbed, keep saying thank you. You have lived a good life. If you just said thank you again and again, you have got the biggest lesson you need to get in life. The other thing I would share is, it's the 3 words I use most often. Trust your process. Nothing is out of place. Your mind is going to tell you this is out, this is wrong, that is wrong, this is out of place, that's out of place. But that is just your mind. Your mind doesn't have the full picture. And there will definitely come a time in your life, you'll look back and you'll say, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. Everything, exactly whatever meant to happen. I lost that loved one, that marriage ended, that business failed, that disease happened, I wouldn't change anything. There will definitely come such a time in our life. Now, if that's going to come in our life, then why are we waiting for that time? Why can't we say it now? So this is a very deep idea. So the idea that everything is happening for me, not to me. I trust this process. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. That would be the second big idea. The third big idea is to really create some space in the day where you can reflect and look back on your day. If you're constantly glued to our phones and we're constantly glued to others, you keep on adding impression. But you have to give a chance for just like, we sleep at night to get a little bit of relaxation from the day. You also need a little bit of conscious time when you're not doing anything for an unraveling to happen. And I'd love you to hold a picture of, when you open a soda bottle, all these bubbles come fizzing out. So keep that picture in mind. You've put your phone away. No one's talking to you right now. You're just sitting. And let's try for a minute. Just close your eyes for a minute. And you've opened the soda cap. And now bubbles start arising. From deep inside, bubbles start arising. Each bubble represents something you've been suppressing. Some emotion, some thought. From deep inside, the release starts happening. And it's escaping not only from the top of your head, it's escaping through every pore of your skin. All these bubbles of stress and tension and worry and unfinished business. The body knows how to untangle. You just give it a chance. The body knows how to release. Just let it. And as you sit like this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, your mind will wander. Come back to the image of bubbles arising from a soda bottle, from a soda can, from a glass full of soda water, carbonated water. And you will come to see that all thoughts, all emotions, all sensations are just like bubbles. They arise and pass away, arise and pass away, arise and pass away. You can open your eyes. And that very naturally brings us to the fourth big lesson, which is everything changes. The more deeply you realize everything changes, everything changes. This meeting is about to end soon. This will also end. Everything changes. The word SHARAN, your organization is called SHARAN. The word SHARAN means refuge. And if you look deeply, each one of us is a refugee in this world. We're all looking for SHARAN. We're all looking for some kind of a refuge. Even the rich people, even the powerful people are looking for refuge. And the Buddha says we're looking in all the wrong places. So he says, Buddhang saranang gacchami. He's not saying come to me for refuge. No. Buddhang is awakeness. To be awake within the dream. In the mall in Netherlands, when that crazy virtual reality thing was going on, I was feeling nauseous. That 1 centimeter gap between my nose and the device, that was the SHARAN. That's what gave me clarity. That is the Buddhang. That is the clarity of being. Take refuge in clarity. Take refuge in awakeness. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Take refuge in the teachings of the awakened ones. Are you going to read newspapers for hours a day and follow clickbait for hours a day? Then you're going to have the consciousness of the people who created that. Is that the consciousness you want to create for yourself? Why not read for a little while, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, the teachings of the awakened ones? A few words which lead to peace are better than 1,000 words which don't, says the Buddha. And Sanghang Saranam Gacchami, associate with people who have dedicated their life towards this untangling, towards this unraveling, towards being more awake. So that is the real SHARAN. Right. So I think that's 5 already. We talked about gratitude. We talked about, what's the second thing I talked about? We talked about unraveling, untangling. We talked about letting go, everything changes. We talked about taking refuge. And there was one more thing I talked about.
I think there were 4 only up to now.
But then let's give you a bonus one. And the bonus one would be to, I think I said it actually, to take out some time in the day. Was that the second one or the third one?
Yeah. You said it.
Take out some time in the day to just reflect on your life. Look at your life. Oh, I think second one was trust your process. Trust your process. Everything is in the right place, right? Nothing is out of place. And again, you may not remember these 5. Just remember, whatever one of these 5 is enough. Trying to take on too much is not required. Of all the things that were shared today, Nandita shared certain things, I shared certain things. If you're still on this call, despite all this time, then there is some medicine here. It's not a mistake that you joined at whatever point in the call and you're still here. It's not a mistake. There is some medicine. There's some good medicine here, and something deep inside of you saying, yes, I need to hear this. I need to remember this. So good. So then reflect on it and then bring that into your life.
Thank you, Nithya. Sandhyaashree is going to bring up some of the questions that have been asked.
There have not been many questions. That's good for us. But so what I would do is I'll take this time to speak to the viewers about how I looked at it as a viewer and how I heard both of you out. Maybe I can just give a synopsis to them so that they can understand what just happened. You know, it really helps always giving a synopsis. So it's very beautiful to see two very, very conscious people talk about how they felt about joy. The simple topic was joy and how Nitya Shanti attached himself to joy and how he went in search of joy. It was not even a search, it just happened to happen on his way. So it was extremely educative and practical for us to understand it's so easy to find joy. At the age of 16, he just happened to go to a workshop which just taught him how to simply understand to live his life with consciousness. And I'm sure there are so many young people watching this particular talk, and they'll be very inspired to go to such places because generally they would avoid going here. And even the example about how Dr. Nandita was there in the prison and what is the kind of emotions you go through. It depends on the person they are. She was a person who connected it with animals and then related it like, oh my God, this is what the animals go through. So it's each of us are in the conscious state of what is our calling. And all we are trying to say is if you listen to your inner voice, it will help you lead towards your own solution. That's the reason Nitya Shanti says there is no need to practice. There is no need to give you lots of remedies. You just have to listen to your own self, and then you have all your transcripts of life in front of you. And so beautifully, Dr. Nandita told us it's okay to get that slap. You're going to turn around. So, first when we heard it, as conscious people, you want to just hear it in the whisper itself. And, like, okay, I let go to the nudge. And then when Dr. Nandita said, get that slap, and you will find yourself changing totally in your life. And that was it was so beautiful to hear. And it made me think quite a lot about it. So to coming back to the viewers who are watching this, the 5 top tips Nitya Shanti was giving us is beautifully open up your lotus in your hand and find your gratitude in your own fingers. So you don't need anybody else to tell you what you need to feel gratitude about. You can count your gratitude every day. And every time your lotus opens up, you know you're full of gratitude. The second one he told us is trust your process. Say, bring it on. So we are telling, bring it on. And you're just going to turn it around and make this entire lockdown period extremely positive for yourself. Trust the process. You're here because you're supposed to be here. You're not forced to be here. It's part of your entire lifespan activities. So you're here for a reason. So let's love and accept where we are. And the third one he told us was, we are all conscious about sleep. We all talk about get yourself sleep and that's how the repair happens and you're going to feel a lot better. But he said something about consciously sleeping through the day. Just consciously switching off and saying, I'm unaware now. I'm emptying myself. So we all need to find that conscious time to just be awake and still asleep. So that was a very, very beautiful thought. All of us should put it in our list of things to do, that we need to just disconnect, not only from gadgets, from our own thinking process. The fourth one he said is everything changes. As he said, we are going to end the show very soon. But that change is going to bring you time to think about what you just accumulated by just listening to these two great people who just spoke about joy. Last but not the least, surround yourself or listen to people who are in that process. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So as I always tell you, so if you have the right vibe, the right kind of teachings, the right kind of books, when you're looking for an answer, the right book will fall into your hands. Or, just a hoarding will just give you the answer of your life. Or something what Nitya Shanti or Dr. Nandita said will be just what you're looking for. So you don't need to take everything that they said. Even if one person vibrated with you, your purpose of being on the show is answered. So these 5 points are so, so beautiful. I'm sure all of them really, really vibrated with what you people said. So I'm going to quickly look in if there is any more questions that have come in. There haven't been, surprisingly, I don't know how. I think they're also besotted by what you people spoke. So I would like to ask you something, because the viewers have not asked. I will ask you something. So how do I recognize joy? What is joy? How do I know I'm joyful?
There's a
This is funny.
nice description of this, that, happiness of the body is called pleasure. Happiness of the world is called contentment. And happiness of being is joy. So in a state of joy, in fact, this question also will not arise. You're just there. And it's like happiness for no reason. Nothing has to happen. Happy for no reason. And the funny thing is, joy it's a state of powerful letting go. In fact, the more you let go, even if you let go of joy, you come to a deeper state called peace. And you let go of that peace as well, and you come to the imperturbable. This whole journey is of letting go. This whole universe is vibrating. If it's vibrating, it means it wants us to move on, move on, move on, move on, move on. Constantly, right? If you're holding on to anything, it's getting stale the moment you hold on to it, getting stale. Which is why the other day when we talked and we said, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, I said, maybe let's not. And if it comes up, it'll come up. And if not, it's not. Because that was appropriate for that moment. And this is appropriate for this moment. Right? So you keep checking. Even what I'm saying is going to get stale. You check within your own life. Is it still relevant? 1 second from now, is it still relevant for you? And that's the state of joy. You can really trust deeply your process. And like this life, the energy of life takes over.
There's lots of us, or I meet a lot of people who also ask me, it's so easy to say let go, but when you actually have to let go, it's quite a task to let go. So can you give any tip on how to let go easily?
Well, don't practice don't wait for the don't wait for the big thing to happen. When you go to the gym, you don't say, show me the biggest weight you have, let me pick it up now. No, that's not the way. There's a lovely quote by Kabir. दुख में सब सिमरन करें, सुख में करे ना कोई. जो सुख में सिमरन करे, दुख काहे का होए. So, don't wait for this letting go business. When the calamity happens, then I let go. No, in the present moment, when things are going really well, then can you let go? Can you let go even, in fact, that's the harder one. Can you let go of your attachment to the pleasant? And so how do you let go? Letting go is being present. Being present is equal to letting go. See, right now, when I look at both of you on the screen, I'm nicely sandwiched between both of you. So when I look at both of you, nice sandwich, I like this kind of thing. When I look at both of you, then in that moment, I'm not thinking of anybody else in the world, right? I'm just thinking of what I'm seeing in front of me. I've actually let go of what my brother looks like, mother looks like, friends look like. In order to answer your question right now, I've got to let go of every other question I've been asked in my life. So automatically, when you're fully present, you automatically let go of everything else. And that's the way. So in fact, not only is the answer to the small challenges of life, the big lesson that we're all preparing for is death, like it or not. Every single thing we're doing is actually a big preparation. It's dress rehearsal for death. So the more you practice, death is the big letting go. It's coming up. So practice letting go. Dalai Lama practices 2 or 3 hours every morning, letting go. He practices dying consciously. We can learn from everybody. Let's learn from the people, the Aghoris in India. They rub ash over their body. Why? The ash represents death. So the main teaching of spirituality is die before you die. And those who die before they die, the compassion that Nandita talked about is natural. It has to come. Because when you see your own fear in the face of death, then you understand how all beings tremble in the face of death. And then you would never want to cause that to anybody. Right? So compassion is a natural outcome. My teacher said the more you understand impermanence, compassion naturally flows. There's a connection between impermanence and compassion.
Okay, we have a question. Kirti Basu wants to know, how do you not get consumed by sadness?
No, I would say you should allow yourself to get consumed by sadness. Why are you so afraid of getting consumed? First of all, take away the word sadness. It's an experience. The moment you've labeled it sadness, I'm a positive person, I'm a happy person, I don't want to be sad. That's actually part of the problem. Your body is tremendously intelligent. Your body is billions of years old, and your body has dealt with far greater calamity. Your ancestors, which go back further than you can imagine, have dealt with every conceivable calamity. They've been imprisoned, they've been tortured, they've been everything. And they're encoded inside of you all their wisdom, right? So I would like you to actually go ahead and get consumed by sadness. Sadness, come and eat me. Sadness, come and get me. If you allow sadness to come and get you, you will find you're out of it before you know. This is very counterintuitive. This is exactly how it works. You got to trust that your body is capable of dealing with every single emotion on the spectrum. And this is what grieving is. Grieving is you allow yourself to consciously enter that pain instead of holding back and say, "Oh no." You allow. This is what the mind holds back. The deeper understanding of grieving is neural pruning. There's a neural process that's happening. It's cutting you off from all those earlier associations you had. It's a healthy process. So go enter it and ask yourself, can I stay with this? Can I? And the answer will be no, I can't. Would I be willing to stay with this? What's happening now? Can I stay with it? What's happening now? Can I stay with it? That's how you come out of it. The way out is through.
Yeah. So we have Shika and Bhavna asking, how can I forgive someone? How do I truly forgive someone who has hurt me intensely? So both of them want to know about forgiveness.
Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. You may not like my answer, but let's be very clear. You have hurt yourself intensely. They did something once or twice or thrice, and you repeated in your mind 1,000,000 times. When they were not there, also you were hurting yourself. You were sleeping at night. Let's be very clear. Who's the one who's hurting whom, right? And you may not like my answer, but this is the way it works. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself for all the ways you have not kept your commitments to yourself. You have betrayed yourself. You have said that I'm going to do something and you've not done it. The day you realize how much you've been hurting yourself, I mean, those people are nothing. We are our greatest tormentors and we are our greatest allies. There's nobody else out there. So the deeper you go into this journey, you'll realize you're only encountering your subconscious mind. You have never met a single, I'm not meeting you right now. Let's be very clear. I don't even know who both of you are. There are light rays entering my eyes, getting inverted, and my brain is processing it. I have no clue what the external world is about. I have only met my impressions, my sanskaras of the external world. And so these sanskaras have to be cleaned up. There is no mistake in the world. That was designed for your acceleration. If you take it as good medicine, that is your acceleration, right? Why don't you look up portraits of reconciliation? Just Google portraits of reconciliation. It was an article by the Times, New York Times. An entire country, Rwanda, learned to forgive the people who had murdered families. So this is there are many, many, many families. And the president said, listen, we're a poor country. We can't have thousands of people in the prison. But there was a genocide some decades back. He said, we can't afford it. So there's the process of reconciliation. The people who murdered and raped and pillaged go and ask for forgiveness. And they were prepared and the families were prepared. And guess what? Thousands and thousands of families were prepared to forgive people who had killed their children, people who had killed their husbands, people who chased them in the dark and they barely got away. If those people can forgive, really, the thing that you're bugged about, are they really that intense? I doubt they are. So we have to open our mind and get better role models. We are surrounded by very bad role models of people who get upset over small, small things. Let's get better role models and you will have the strength to face all of this.
So basically he's saying, check your pain-o-meter, and then you'll understand that your pain is not that huge, and then you will automatically shift. So we have Ron also who asked us about what is pain. I think when you forgive, pain also goes away. Isn't it, Nithya Shanti?
Pain and suffering. I would distinguish pain and suffering. Pain, I normally would associate with physical pain. If I'm out in the sun for too long, it hurts. When I sit in a funny posture, right now I've been sitting for an hour, I'm fine because I've been meditating. But if I sit for like 6-7 hours, maybe my legs will start hurting. That's pain. But there's pain and there's suffering. And suffering is the emotional, mental aspect of it. Oh my goodness, why is it happening? How long will it go on? This is suffering. So Buddha says pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. So yes, when someone criticizes me and says, Nithya, you're this and that, I may feel something, but then the story I create around that, oh, this person thinks this, and that means I'm this, and that means now I've, my reputation is going to get spoiled. That's the suffering. That's the extra stuff I add on to it. So when you distinguish pain and suffering, you get the way out. Pain is always tolerable. Suffering is forever unbearable because suffering is imaginary. Pain is a reality. Suffering is imaginary. And we are equipped to deal with pain. Like I said, our body is billions of years old. It's perfectly equipped to deal with every kind of pain.
Amazing. That was a very, very interesting answer. Dr. Nandita, Sheetal Jain is asking, it's difficult for me to shift from dairy to plant-based.
Okay,
So you have any?
so see, it's difficult for everyone only because we are addicted. We have to recognize that we're addicted because, like, if I were to say no more carrots, what will you say? Okay, no, no big deal. But if I say no more dairy, then you say, oh, my milk, my tea, my butter, my cheese, my paneer, my ice cream, right? So it's just because we are addicted to this one thing which all comes from milk. Now, here's a simple way. If you really want to get rid of milk and you truly want to do it, just see what the calf suffers when, it's tied up away from its mother so that the mother's milk can be sold. Like every mother wants to feed her baby, every mother wants to be with her baby. And if at that moment you can feel what it is to be that mother or that baby, how can you ever consume milk?
So, so beautifully, Dr. Nandita is saying, if we could become conscious and you understand that this is not our food, you'll naturally be able to shift and get over this addiction. We have Jaden, being a 17-year-old, what do I do when I don't live up to the expectations ET by myself? How do I keep going when everything is against me?
Yeah, great.
I think this is to Nitya Shanti.
Yeah. So welcome to life, 17-year-old. And that's this is natural and looks like look at the positive intention. The reason you're not able to live up to it, you're setting very high expectations, and that in a way that's good. You're setting high standards for yourself, but you're also being a little too hard on yourself. There's a lovely quote: we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can achieve in 3 years. So maybe you're trying to pack it up too thick and too fast. And I used to do that. Maybe to some extent I still do that. So here's the practice for you, Jaden. I would love for you to look in the mirror every day and you smile at yourself. And that may be hard, but do it anyway. You pretend to smile at yourself. You say, hi, Jaden, just for today, what if there's nothing wrong with you? You say it 3 times. Hi, Jaden, just for today, what if there's nothing wrong with you? Jaden, just for today, what if there's nothing wrong with you? And this is a powerful counteractive thought to the 3 virus thoughts we talked about earlier. And one of those thoughts was, I'm not enough. And you can do all of those things. You can meet expectations or not meet expectations. But the foundation is you are worthy. And no amount of doing or not doing has anything to do with your basic sense of I'm worthy, because I am. Did you know that you're an absolute star? You ran a race with 60 million others and you won that race, and which is why you were born. Because that's about 60 million sperm cells. Nandita can correct me. 60 million sperm cells ran to the egg and you ran. So maybe life is the after party. You don't have to prove anything. You've already proved it. You were the one sperm that made it to the egg. So you're a winner and life is your after party. And we're all winners over here. So we're here to celebrate. So now why are you making it so hard for yourself? Maybe it's not meant to be so hard. Right? So find good examples of people who are achieving things also in a joyful way. If you have examples of people who are achieving things in a very sad way and they're kind of digging themselves into the earth doing it, you've got bad role models. Get better role models. You're going to be fine.
It's like one of the tips Nitya Shanti had told us, look for those people who are living it with that purpose and we're very clear. And that when they inspire you, you'll find a lot of meaning in your life. I'm sure he is listening to us. So we've come to the end of the talk. And as Nitya Shanti had said very beautifully, why are we talking about all the stress, all the sadness, and that is happening during the lockdown? There are a lot of people who are turning things around, are becoming achievers, and are making this lockdown very positive for them. So Dr. Nandita came up with this beautiful concept, COVID positive, which you're going to have every last Friday of the month. And we are going to talk to all those people who have been COVID positive during this period
No,
and
not
all those
COVID
achievers.
positive. Not COVID positive, pandemic positive.
Pandemic positive. Yeah, so I meant to say that, in the COVID period that they were positive about it. So they will be able to look at the pandemic as a very period which is very, very positive for them. and they have brought out the best out of them. We have some very, very interesting people who will be coming on, and we'll be meeting the last Friday of every month. So looking forward, and I take this opportunity to thank Nithya Shanti and Dr. Nandita for giving us such a beautiful finale for this particular one we came up with. There is always a way out for the mental health program from SHARAN. Thank you so much.
Sandhyaashree, thank you for having us.